Hello everyone, good evening. This is today. My name is Ashwin Adur. I'm doing my Masters in Mechanical Engineering from University of Wollongong, and for my subject in Engineering Research Methods, I've chosen the topic Management of Hydrogen as a Futuristic Fuel, Effective Production by Using Sustainable Sugarcane Fields as a Source. So, what do you mean by sustainable energy? Let's see. Sustainable development. Do we need it? Of course, yes, we do. Well, sustainable development is a pathway for the future. We want it for all. It offers a framework to generate the economic growth, achieve social justice, exercise environmental stewardship, and also strengthen the governments. This is what our Honored Secretary General Ban Ki-moon had told in a UN conference. He believes that the world is ready for a sustainable development only because the non-renewable sources of energy are slowly into depletion. Let's check at the universal renewable sources of energy for the future. Well, there are 4 of them currently, and they are solar energy, wind, water, hydrogen, which are the main, and other types such as going on in biogas or algae. The developments for such energies are being processed into different countries, and different countries are looking on for technological advancements such as Brazil, Australia, Canada, India, Japan, New Zealand, Korea, Russia, and of course the US. Now, let's look at the age of energy gases. This is what it's been in the past, and this is what it's been forecasted. Well, if you see in the past, from 1850s, we had renewable sources of energy such as wood and hay, but slowly there came an age when the renewable sources was transferred on to the non-renewable sources of energy, which started growing on from if you see from 1950s to 2000 with the introduction of liquid fuels. And now from 2000 to 250, if you see, oil and natural gases and liquid fuels are going away into depletion, and it's been forecasted that till 2100 to 2150 there will be no more oil or natural gas liquids, and the world will again be there completely on the renewable source of energy, which is hydrogen. That is the reason hydrogen is one of the most sought out source of energy right now, and for technological advancements and for economic growth, we need hydrogen to make it sustain and to use it efficiently. Now let's know about hydrogen. Well, hydrogen occupies the top ranks of the major fuels in 21st century. That is what Barreto told in his research papers. Why do you think did he say this? It's because, first of all, hydrogen is the first element in the periodic table. Being the first element is the most simple element in the world, and you get it in abundance in like everywhere. You see it in water, wind, solar. You get hydrogen from all these sources. So it is a renewable source. Also, hydrogen gives rise to almost zero carbon dioxide emissions, and that's the reason you don't have much of the pollution which is there given, and that's all we need like for hydrogen to go after hydrogen. Make sure that hydrogen is one of the resources that we use. Well, this is how the hydrogen energy system is, which is explained by Dunn in his 2002 research paper. We have primary energy sources, as I told you, like the sunlight, the wind, the biomass, which are renewable sources, and also from non-renewable. Well, by photoconversion, electrolysis, and reforming, such as steam reforming and auto reforming, you can convert these sources and by electricity generation, and hence you can use hydrogen for your transportation system. You can store hydrogen in fuel cells, and also you can utilize hydrogen efficiently for electrician utility, commercial uses, residential uses, transportation, industrial, and so on. Now, hydrogen economy. What is hydrogen economy? Well, there will be a point, as the US Department of Energy says, that there will be a point in the global market penetration when hydrogen will be using an advanced technology to produce, store, and utilize hydrogen. and most of the countries will be going forward for this kind of technology. That is when hydrogen economy will come into existence. Well, this shall establish a social acceptance by all, like how we eventually transferred from wood to coal. This is how we'll eventually transfer. And if you see that this is known as the oil age, and in the future there will become an age that will be known as the hydrogen age, where hydrogen will be used. If you see the transition to hydrogen economy, how has it become? Well, if you can see that in 2000s, we had the production process, the delivery storage technologies, and the public policy framework for it. But the security and the climate issues and hydrogen safety came into existence in the 2010, as you can see. We have seen that the reforming of natural gases, the pipelines, the pressurized tanks, combustion, fuel reforming, steam reforming processes have come into existence from 2010 to 2020. And it's been forecasted that we'll have the utility systems, the integrated centralized systems, and the public confidence as the hydrogen as the energy center by 2040s. This is forecasted by the US Department of Energy. Also, now for hydrogen production in Australia, how do you think our hydrogen is processed in Australia and produced? Well, it's mostly done by fossil fuels, and 99% of the fossil fuels are used for production of hydrogen. And you see that there's natural gas and biomass as well. Well, fossil fuel uses reforming process to produce hydrogen, and natural gas and biomass uses ethanol. Hydrogen production uses ethanol worldwide. Well, this has been done by polysaccharide fermentation of sugarcane and corn. And US and Brazil are the leading countries in this, because US is the highest producer of corn, whereas Brazil is the highest producer of sugarcane currently, that uses only for the production of hydrogen. US uses the dry mill and the wet mill processes to extract ethanol from corn, whereas Brazil uses the bagasse extraction from sugarcane. Bagasse is a waste of sugarcane after sugar has been extracted, and that extraction of bagasse comes in helping produce ethanol. Now, if you see hydrogen production using sugarcane in Australia, Australia uses sugarcane production which is done by Queensland. Now, from sugarcane, the production of bagasse has been done after the sugar has been produced. Bagasse is used hence to extract ethanol by either steam formation or using cellulose ethanol or autothermal reforming. And then we get hydrogen eventually, which is then stored in fuel cells and used. If you see the sugarcane production over here as cane growers and association which is responsible for sugar production in Australia said in 2010, that if you see that in 2005 they had one of the highest producing of sugarcane, but then it was gradually dropped down since the farmers mostly used sugarcane production only for the producing sugar and not for any other causes. But as you see in 2010, 2011, they have started growing gradually sugarcane also for bioethanol production, and since the gradual it's been increasing, and they had forecasted that by 2030 it will eventually be at 31.6% millions. Now let's see how ethanol has been produced from sugarcane. Let's just see this video. It will tell you exactly how it's produced.
Ethanol is produced from sugarcane juice through a fermentation and distilling process. The juice is first purified by various filtering processes until it is ready to be fermented and mixed with yeast. At this stage, the liquid is called fermented wine. The alcohol contained in the wine is recovered in distillation and rectification columns. Hydrous ethanol, the type used in flex fuel vehicles in Brazil, is produced at this point. To obtain anhydrous ethanol, the type that's mixed with gasoline, the liquid undergoes an additional water removal or dehydration stage. The entire procedure from the arrival of the cane at the mill to the finished product takes 15 hours. 1 ton of sugarcane yields about 85 liters of ethanol.
So, the sugarcane production in Brazil and Australia. If you compare it, then we can see that in Brazil you have 357 million canes of which is produced in 2003, and it has gradually increased, with Brazil being one of the greatest producers of sugarcane. Whereas in Australia, the sugarcane production is still at low, where only 4,000 sugarcane farm businesses are there and there are only 24 sugar mills. But this will eventually grow, hence the research is being done in Australia and it is required. The sugarcane agricultural system in Australia. Well, they have two models of the sugarcane agricultural system in Australia. One is the Absent model, other is the Sugarcane model. The Absent, which is known as the Agricultural Production System Simulator, is a model which you use basically for sugarcane effective sugarcane production. If you see Australia's future fuel, yes, sugarcane which will produce cellulose ethanol for hydrogen can be the possible answer for the Australia's future fuel. Also, if you see that the multidisciplinary approach by technical, economical, system challenges are needed to convert the sugar industries which are aimed only on producing sugar to an integrated biorefineries where they can help produce bagasse and ethanol as well. So the research question which develops over here is, what is the viability of using sugarcane in Australia as a source of hydrogen production, as an alternative to the traditional non-renewable resources of hydrogen production? Like, since coal is used and Australia produces a lot of coal, why do we still need sugarcane? Well, because sugarcane is a renewable resource. You can just go on growing on sugarcane, whereas the coal at one point of time is going to get depleted. So this research, basically, it develops, we have come up with a research design, whereas you'll be using a techno-economic models which will be developed to assess the feasibility of the cost reduction of the fermented sugar production from enzymes, hydrolyzed beta 1 to 4 links, and it will be used in a cellulose ethanol that will be present in a sugarcane, and thus it might result to a potential ethanol production. This was one of the researchers previously which was carried by O'Hara and Franzang, and we'll be using this cellulose chains for our research, but we'll be producing the sugarcane as per the Absent model, and we'll be integrating both the models. Also, we'll be using planting billets, which we'll be using efficiently with giving an interload space of 150 to 200 mm. Also, a rubber coated feeder, train rollers will be given, and the chopper and the base cutters have to be sharp. This is how it looks like. This is the planting village, and you can see that the sugarcane is being planted down, going in the village. And this is how sugarcane village in Australia are currently done. The cutters have to be really sharp for it to cut the earth. This and the improvements in the catalyst formation to make it work in an optimum operable conditions will be given, so that less liquid product formation is done and more hydrogen is being produced. Also, an alternate method for producing hydrogen by ethanol by applying steam reforming will be studied, so that you can compare both the methods and we'll get to know which is the most viable method for Australia. The ethical consideration which will involve in this research is that the participants will be receiving sufficient training. Also, all the participants will be given information. It will be provided adequate financial support to all people associated with this research. Also, the rules of ethics should be followed through EEO guidelines. Well, the summary, we come to the end of the presentation, and the summary over here is, world needs a futuristic fuel. Yes, hydrogen can be the possible answer. Also, Australia relies majorly on coal, which is a fossil fuel. Switching to hydrogen as a sustainable choice for energy, of course it's a good choice for Australia, so that Australia can be sustainable, as how Brazil is on its way. Sugarcane production can be increased in Australia, but an extensive research is required. Hence, that is where my research involves. That is where the research for Epson models for an effective cellulose ethanol comes into action. Also, the Epson and the cellulose ethanol with high quality billet planters is the design for this much needed research, and research in this development and sustainable can help Australia in the long run. So I want to give, if you have any questions or at the end of the queries, please let me know. You can also email me at ashwin.prakash.adur@gmail.com for any queries if possible with regarding. And that will be all for the presentation. Thank you so much and have a good evening. Yep. Thank you.